Welcome everybody, good morning, good afternoon, and welcome back to HGC China. Tetra and I are back in the mix. I know you haven't had long of a break here ever since the European Open Division playoffs, but tell me, how are you doing today, buddy?
Sleepy, but also excited for more matches. Also, it really says something about how long we've been doing this, that every time that intro stops, I don't expect this music. I keep just hearing the old one that they had. That it's just ingrained in my head that after the intro finishes, it's that, and this music catches me off guard every single day.
Yeah, we still need to get used to it. But now that you brought up the tune, I totally relate to that. Oh my goodness, we've been through a lot of good Chinese production in our history of doing HGC China.
I've just seen that the A team have just a giant A on their back. This is the first time I've seen that. Never noticed. You always only see like the little, very mute logo on the front, but in the back is just a giant blazoned A. Nice. Oh, I love it.
It's actually amazing if you pay special attention to what's going on behind our Chinese commentators. Like I think I saw 619 from BTG the other day just disappear in a tank top. Like after the game, he ripped off his shirt and just disappeared in a tank top. So it's just amazing to see what's going on behind the stage, if you will.
That's what we're like after offline events, where we're all like in a suit, second the camera's off us, just tear away pants just into shorts and t-shirts.
I mean, absolutely. That's the greatest thing about casting from home, right? You don't even need to wear pants in the first place. Nobody's going to notice.
Very true.
All right, ladies and gentlemen.
I hope you also looked into the camera directly then after that.
All right. This is our current standings in China. As you can see, Beyond the Game here dominating the rest of China, if you will. 16 points here compared to the 11 points of SPT, the second best team. The most hardcore pursuers, if you will. The other ones are kind of in the middle field here. The one coming in with 10, CE following with 9, and then RPG with 7. And then after RPG, things are starting to look a little more sinister for the teams because they're basically finding themselves right in the vicinity of Crucible playoffs, if you will.
I mean, RPG and technically CE are still in the danger zone, so they need to be careful. In fact, everyone is except BTG. I don't think it's possible for BTG. I mean, yes, it is, right? There's still like 3 games per team, which means 9 points. Okay, so no, BTG 4, 5 games, so 11 points. Yeah, no, BTG are fine. But everyone else is still technically in danger.
Yeah. And as you can see, guys, BTG and TheOne still without losses here. Actually surprising to see because I thought TheOne definitely had lost the game, but they continue their trend of not losing games. But compared to the previous phase, of course, they've got a lot more ties in their history, which is why they aren't ranked as highly.
Including against BTG, handing them their first map loss of the season. And here you can see our schedule for the day. TheOne, they're going to try and keep the momentum going versus the A team. RPG versus KT should be a belter of a match. And CE pulling double duty against SPT and KT.
Yeah, and CE against SPT, that is probably the most classic of classic matches that we can hope for in HGC China. If you've been following the league for a longer period of time, then you will probably have witnessed countless close games and explosive results here. For now, though, I think it's safe to say that SPT is pretty much in the role of the favorite here coming into this because CE, despite a pretty good performance yesterday, they're still not the team that we know them to be.
No, they... Like I said yesterday, I think they still look way better now that they've had their role swaps, and it was literally an instant change, and they've just got better since. But I would definitely not say that they're at the level they were, let's say, beginning of midway through last season or season before that, when they were at their peak.
Yeah.
So it's a shame. Hopefully CE, this change will give them the opportunity to grow back into that top level team. But they have a lot of work to do, and SPT are still looking strong in second place.
Absolutely. But not everything is dark and gloomy for CE. They have, of course, had a little bit of a good result to bank on. So maybe with that momentum, they can get some good results today. For now, though, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to focus on our first series of the day. We're going to see TheOne fight it out here against the A team. And the A team is a very interesting team to talk about. They once again play with LK. So Jaina seems to be either benched for now because they think, you know what, we've had better results with LK as of late. or Jaina seems to have other obligations in real life, which is also something pretty common in HGC China. Win, for example, said, you know what, I'm just gonna take a pause here and I'm just gonna stay at home, do university stuff, play some heroes at home, whatever. And we've had this in the past before, right, with other players going back to university only during the season, actually returning. Loktar for BTG is a good example for that.
Exactly. Seeing, like you said, a player disappearing for a while and then returning in time to join games is nothing odd to HGC China.
Yep.
This is slightly odd. There we go, fixed. But overall, we're looking ready to head in. So reminder, TheOne. They were able to take the 1-1 versus BTG yesterday, and then took a 2-0 versus KT. The fact is, though, that 2-0 versus KT was pretty close, unexpectedly so.
It was really close. I couldn't agree with you more. And TheOne is such an interesting team to follow right now, because on the one hand, they are a team that is not looking as dominant as they were doing last phase. But then also we have, you know, TheOne just shaking things up greatly when playing against BTG, and they were absolutely tearing things apart in game number 2. Whether it was BTG not playing well or not playing focusedly enough, that remains to be seen, of course. But still, we don't want to take anything away from them.
Exactly, completely agree. So it looks like we have our first map already, and it's going to be the Sky Temple.
All right. By the way, I think that slight crackling still hasn't disappeared yet.
Okay.
Which is a little bit weird. So you might want to check the cables again, maybe.
Now? Test 1 2 3. Test 1 2 3.
I don't think that fixed it up entirely.
I'll do a like proper app restart.
All right, no worries. While Tetra's getting his microphone thingy solved here, I'm gonna take you through that early draft. And if you're like, hey, wait a minute, Kendrick and Tetra, why is TheOne banning Illidan? Well, you can basically see that pattern almost every single time a team plays the A team, right? They have Bruiser in their ranks. Bruiser is considered to be Hugo 2.0, which is actually pretty cool because they're playing against the team with Hugo 1.0, if you will, the original one. And Bruiser is probably one of the most lethal, if not the most lethal Illidan players in the league. And for a fact, A team is the only team that still relies on Illidan every now and then. So don't let yourselves get bamboozled by this Illidan ban. Tetra, welcome back.
Test 1 2 3.
That sounds good to me so far.
Nice. We will hope it continues to be
it's back. Dang it. We could just try another restart maybe on our call, and that should...
Yeah, let's do a full call restart.
Yeah. Maybe there's something in our connection. Maybe we got the cursed line. So I'm just going to do this. Bring it back.
Hello?
Hello?
Test 1 2 3.
I think it sounds the same still, but it's not like super robotic. It's not like super heavy.
Okay. I have one more thing to fix it. We're back.
Okay. All right. Whitemane actually made it through on the other hand. That is pretty cool to see. Whitemane normally immediately banned or, you know, just taken out. But whenever she makes it through, in China in particular with the A team, she is pretty much a priority pick. Doesn't really surprise us though in other regions like Europe, for example. I've watched a lot of Europe on the weekend for HGC Europe, and she was picked up a lot, especially by Dignitas. Zelia, probably in my personal opinion, the best Whitemane that we have in Europe right now. Just absolutely insane the amount of plays he made.
Test 1 2 3 1 2 3.
Welcome back.
Hooray!
I think that might have fixed it. Whatever you did.
Unplugged it and plugged it back in again because I was doing software stuff before. Now I did hardware stuff. So hooray!
There we go. Amazing.
Hooray! So Malthael sneaking through along with that Whitemane. So extended team fights without burst damage are going to be rough for TheOne. So they really do need to pick some more up. Hanzo's at a good start, but a second damage dealer with some burst, a mage maybe, might be necessary here.
Yeah, damage is relatively low on the side of TheOne, but of course there's still one hero left to be picked. The Hanzo will probably fall into the hands of Kenshi, and then we're gonna have Meng most likely on that Junkrat. But oh man, that is That is quite the gamble, in my opinion. Going for the double poke style against Muradin and Whitemane. I'm not sure if they're going to have enough burst damage to really punch through that Whitemane heal. It's going to be interesting to see. Also,
if Malthael goes Tormented Souls here, then they're never going to get through him either.
I was going to say, have we actually seen a Tormented Souls Malthael plus Whitemane yet? But I can see it being very scary. Like, that's a lot of protection and self-sustain on Malthael.
Not together. We definitely haven't seen them together, but it looks like they're running it as a straight-up assassin instead of a dedicated solo laner, because they now have Dahaka as a solo laner.
That's not the first time we've actually seen this. Yesterday, if I recall correctly, I'm not sure it was the A team who did it, but we've definitely seen Malthael more, you know, fulfilling the role of that roamer, ganker, wave clear, whatever you want to call it. He's also great at doing mercenary camps all by himself because of that inbuilt sustain. So I'm not hating it immediately, but it's definitely weird to see that Malthael makes it into the draft next to something like a Dahaka. And Raynor, on the other hand, the only ranged assassin that the A team relies on. So I would say, Tetra, both teams not really going for a whole lot of burst damage.
It's definitely, unless we're seeing a Last Rites, very burst free. I mean, Raynor does burn through people pretty quick, but I wouldn't call it burst. Like, burst is sort of like 1 or 2 abilities. Raynor is like 5 autos, and you're pretty low. Overall, draft-wise, the A-teams are certainly more unique, Kendrick, but I really do think if they go for burst damage, their comp might actually suffer, even though they have superior burst damage. If they go for sustained fighting, I'm really wondering if TheOne can make it through, and I think it's going to have to come down to TheOne positioning to win fights.
See, the main issue that I have with A-team's draft right now is the Blaze. I think Blaze's bunker can actually really deny so much of the value from the Malthael, right? You hop into the bunker, all that damage over time will be cleansed off. You can even dodge a Last Rites if he ends up going that route. So let's see if that bunker, especially played by Hugo, can make all the difference. And speaking of Hugo, he is playing for TheOne next to Keshi, Meng, ZJZ, and Huhua.
And on the right, it is the A-team with LK, Olele, Bruiser, Stugos, and Yiskuk. And they're going for Clemency.
Yep, Clemency seems to be the new hotness in China, and rightfully so, because we've seen that build do so much work in other regions before. Now in China, that build has certainly arrived as well with the nerfs, with the most recent nerfs to the Q build on Whitemane. I'm not saying that the build can't be picked anymore under any circumstances, but it's definitely, you know, lost its healing purpose or healing value as to compare before.
Exactly, and I did notice that Dahaka has gone for speed boost, so I don't think they will be going for a sustain composition, which is concerning.
Yeah, you mean they're going to go full aggression with Dahaka trying to use the speed boost to make those engages happen?
Yeah, bringing out Last Rites maybe. I mean, I'm really kind of surprised Muradin hasn't already gone for the Perfect Storm.
Yeah. Perfect Storm, of course. Can we say it's by far now the most popular talent on Muradin?
Oh, by a long way. Yeah. Everyone picks it these days. There's, on the very odd occasion, a third wind. We never see block anymore. It's super Perfect Storm focus these days. And
if you remember, yesterday, Tetram, we had that game in which Jaina was actually struggling so hard against that Muradin. And I think yesterday during the Open Division cast, we also had this discussion, right? Muradin, thanks to talents like Perfect Storm, like Give Him the Axe, can be so dangerous for squishy backliners on the enemy team.
Yeah, he's like a solo, he's like a bruiser himself, but with a lot of hit points. It's a bit unfair on heroes like Kerrigan, to be honest.
Right?
But yeah, buff Kerrigan Blizzard. Oh god, that could be terrifying if they buff her too much. But yeah, Muradin, if you just like minimal stacking effort, and he will start out damaging those kind of assassins, and that's annoying when he's in a 1v1 scenario.
And he's also not even that dependent on landing a combo either. I mean, sure, Stormbolt
doesn't need the support.
Yeah, Stormbolt requires a little bit of aiming here, but unlike with Kerrigan, for example, you don't even have to land 2 abilities necessarily to get your full value off, right? In the meantime, speaking of value, that was a good lockdown onto Dahaka, and I love these tiny little sidesteps that we see from warrior players like Huhu. Yesterday, actually, he was the one being sidestepped by Timeless all the time on his Johanna. This time, he did it to the Muradin.
Yeah, he's back for a little bit of revenge. Yiskuk makes it behind the base, but the Siege Giants continue to push in. Lele, no Exterminator here, sticking with the ace in the hole, so it's going to take a little bit longer to go through these minions. Also, I don't think we talked about the Junkrat level 1. I don't remember the name of that town. I think it's It's not extra round timers, it's the other one, where bouncy bouncy.
Yep.
Where basically, once a bomb bounces, then it does extra damage.
That is correct. Normally, we're used to seeing put some English on it. Very rarely do we see extra wound timers, which would be the red symbol, if you will, which would also cause the grenades to last longer, if you will.
Extra wound timers?
Yeah.
I think you have fallen prey to the English language there.
Oh, you mean it's wound? Oh,
yes.
I see.
As in winding the timer.
Yeah.
I think you've been baited by English there.
I got you baited so hard by Junkman's talents. And of course, the person who designed those names. Well played,
way,
sir.
We have like we said, bouncy, bounce it off terrain, and it does extra damage, which combined with spread volley later on means that this boss area especially becomes an absolute death zone.
All right. Let's see how the temples are going to be split up here. We see Huhu holding his ground against Itzkut. Itzkut, just before the orc gets too close, he drops that storm bolt, but the top temple hasn't actually been taken yet. So White Man is now doing this. When your support actually steps in to take those temples, it's always a risky gamble because normally you want your support to be part of the rotation just in case someone ends up getting focused. But when there's no enemy heroes nearby who could even threaten the White Man, I think that is still perfectly fine. And what you can also see, what the A team is doing pretty well compared to the one right now, is they're actually soaking middle and bottom quite handsomely.
We also caught a quick little preview by Meng of exactly how he's trying to play this game. He was banking his grenades off of that side wall so that he could get extra damage on the minion wave, and maybe Reyna if he was not microing effectively. See if he does it again, exactly like that. Banking them off the wall, making sure that he gets that bonus damage.
It's actually really cool. I mean, it's not always going to work when there's no walls or terrain nearby that you can use it from. But on a map like Sky Temple, where there's usually, you know, a couple of choke points available, especially when fighting near the temples, that could actually be sweet. I can also see this talent getting great value on Towers of Doom, for example.
I could agree. Maybe 2 minutes by the Queen as well. Not entirely sure.
There's a lot of walls over there as well.
That are pretty rough. Very true. I mean, around some of those tribute areas, that could be monstrous. Dahaka's tunneling. He's just gone to top lane by the looks of it to soak.
But then again, Tetra, we're here in China. We're not playing Curse Hollow. For some reason, this map seems to have disappeared from the Chinese meta. Else they just don't like birds? You think that's it?
No, it's a better theory than what else I had. Because they banned Curse more than Braxis.
That is actually correct. If you think about it, how crazy that is.
It really is odd. I don't know. Either way, we look at the talents and we can see that the A team, yeah, they're definitely leading towards this burst style, bringing out the Dire Lone for the Malthael, who has been doing a lot of solo laning, but if he was planning on going into a Tormented Souls group up the enemy build, then you would really want Black Harvest with this.
Yeah, Black Harvest is usually the go-to here whenever you're trying to go for Tormented Souls, as you said. Now, we see a bold maneuver coming in for the one. Hugo hasn't actually picked his heroic ability yet on Blaze. There goes the bunker, no doubt about that, actually. And the one isn't actually trying to get the boss. They're trying to bait in a team fight. They're doing exactly that.
Boss is leashed, damage from the Riptide. Bruiser is in the worst position, gets himself completely trapped, and he is going to get sniped down here as they continue to chase down, looking for a Lele, using the bunker damage to try and finish him.
Oh,
as
the tongue.
Okay, quick drag, but it's still going to have to pull back, and with that, with that one-man advantage, will easily take this boss.
Yeah, the moment the one actually retreated all the way to the left and the boss lost its aggro on the team, I think that's when the A-team should have actually stopped chasing immediately, because their only chance of ever making anything happen here was with the one taking the shots and the damage from the boss, right? You didn't have your level 10s yet, you didn't have your heroic abilities yet, and now you wasted time for nothing. You even gave the opponents a little bit of bonus experience here. So a big lead already coming in for the one, and although A-team just, you know, denied and prevented a total disaster, it's still a pretty heavy setback. The
boss taking down the fort with the help of that temple, which means 2 forts down. Good job at the one. Rough. In full control right now, looking to push in for that last fort in top lane as the temple begins firing the shots. Junkrat is going to be clearing up the Bruiser camp that the A-team have captured. So this top 4 will be in serious danger.
Yeah, and that was, of course, also another negative aspect for A-Team about that attack, right? They chose that time of engage so unfortunately because the first boss usually spawns around the time when the second temple gets activated. So if you end up losing a team fight, or maybe even your entire team near that first boss, the enemy team that won the team fight can actually just step on the temple and, you know, extend that damage even further. Look at that. The boss already taken down some of the structures here in the bottom, took down the gate, I believe, and then the top fort almost destroyed as well.
We see the Bruiser camp being picked up to push into that top lane. The fort has been severely weakened. There is that last right we were predicting, so it is a burst build coming in for the A-Team. Although Hyperion is an interesting choice, you're going for a burst build. I would have thought Banshee would be better for single target damage.
Nice double combo here by Huahua. Doesn't take the Dahaka tongue there. Didn't use isolation though. For a moment I was like, okay, is he going to use isolation in that? Are they really fighting into the 13? But it looks like the A-Team this time around plays a little more patiently. Raider needs to be careful though. That was a good knockback by the penetrating rounds. Otherwise he might have actually fallen. Stu goes is here as well. Eats Cook going in.
Popping the Avatar, this is still pre-13. They're going to try and get to the backline. Drag misses. Taunt does not, though, as they continue to fight through this. LK gets lobbed into the backline, though, as that bunker just sets up so much fire. Riptire onto a massively grouped up team, taking out Whitemane. And with no support, the health ticks down. Yeats Cook will sneak. Never mind.
Oh, Meng
delivers himself all aboard a Junkrat. And Bruiser, the last survivor, will certainly cease to be exactly what I just said.
Ah, he had a good move there, definitely looking funky, but when there was no one else alive anymore to keep him alive, and when the entire enemy team is surrounding you, then even the feistiest of Malthaels cannot escape that onslaught. That was a wonderful team fight by TheOne. From start to finish, they were totally in control. And the A-Team, at this point, you can actually ask yourselves, were they that desperate? Did they really have to go all in over this? They would have just lost a fort, and I think they still would have had enough time to soak 13 themselves here. Itzkut forcing the play upon to the enemy team and his allies alike. And then we have the bunker. Look at that. They don't even have to really hop in and out. They are totally in control here. And the Riptire Meng with a devastating damage combo, hitting 3 people at the same time. They're chasing them down. And the icing on the cake there, of course, look at that. Concussion Mine onto himself, Concussion Mine onto Malthael, and the disaster was perfect against the A-Team.
Yeah, that Ripper Air for Junkrat. Such fantastic talent. Just runs past LK, who was hovering around saying hello. But he's in this bot lane, looking to assist his ally, Hugo, who will easily get out into the fray. Well, he's stunned, but he's Garrosh. That was a tunnel in by LK. I think they actually wanted to make something happen, but they were far too late.
And this is once again a real problem now for the A-Team. They committed the cooldown off the Haka. They tried to use a numbers advantage right onto their opponents. But guess what? The tunnel came in too late. They don't even have to use Junkrat here. The taunt misses, right? Because of that burrow. Is that actually going to be a problem now? No.
Doesn't look like it. The bunker micro is huge. Armor being juggled. They used Aegis so much earlier. Yeshi is dropped low, but he's still outplaying the positioning of Olele absolutely beautifully. We do finally see Blaze drop. That is the first kill the A-Team have been able to achieve, but the health is not looking good. Where is Junkrat? He got interrupted, so Riptide did not go off.
Yeah, Riptide didn't even go off, but guess what? He didn't even need it. Actually makes it in with that Ripper Air and dismounts Muradin before he gets to safety. He's not letting go. Junkrat the Pitbull, who's going to reign supreme here with that Riptide coming off cooldown just when it was needed. He makes it on life. Style points 100 for Meng.
Dahaka tried to move in to get the kill, but a quick concussion might shut him down. Everyone has arrived. He burrows the Lordado, and Meng realizes he went too deep there. And as such, LK will escape.
Meng just with a flyby on those Ripper Airs. Beautiful to see here, but it really shows how much in control TheOne is at this point. They're just appearing wherever they want to. They've got a 4-level lead at this point. Not only is it pretty drastic in terms of, you know, the talent lead that you have, but also in terms of combat statistics, right? More HP, more damage scaling. The scaling difference is just absolute bonkers right now.
Down goes the boss. More power to TheOne. They're going to move it into the bot lane.
Yeah, that might very well just be the game, right?
It might. Keeps dead. So if they had Siege Giants, it would absolutely be dead. It would absolutely be game. So they're going to try normally. If they kill anyone, it's basically game over. 1 kill is all they need.
Let's check the rig abilities. Everything is ready with the exception of the Riptide, but it's actually going to be online just in time here, I think. Look at Dahaka desperately trying to find an opening to find Meng here. Really tries to lock him down. And A-Team, they can't even engage. They're so far down. They're so far behind. Can't actually do it. Whitemane now in a pickle.
Quick blow up. Junkrat flies in after baiting Dahaka, keeping him there for so long, keeping him out of the fight, making this a 5 versus 3. Bruiser drops low, Raider drops low, Bruiser falls, Olele does not, Bruiser finally does to the Groundbreaker. Meg's in trouble, as is Deckard, but as the isolation expires before CJ said is able to go down, so they get the healing, and that is a quick and easy victory of a 4-level lead going over to the One.
Wow. That looked like a walk in the park, ladies and gentlemen. The One, it looks like they're busy getting over with this series. You know, they have one additional one to play today. 2 games for them. And the A-Team, let's face it here, without any chances whatsoever. They still seem to struggle with LK in their roster. Without Jaina, they look like a different team. The damage isn't there. The